Morning, everybody. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Let's get the right desktop option spacebar. Ta-da! YouTube live. Okay. Crud! I forgot to press. No, no, I didn't. I didn't forget to press button. Okay, so I thought I did. Right now, it's Sunday morning, March 8th, 2020. I am after this. I have to take my car out to the shop for regular tune-up and also oil change. So it's gonna be a busy Sunday for me because that one's gonna take forever. The Firestone that I go to usually has a lot of customers. Um, and also to the runners at the LA Marathon, man, good luck, man. Best of luck today. I used to be a marathoner, as you guys know. I've stopped running marathon. I think after New York Marathon in 2013, I figured I've run it all. I was like, I've that was what I did in my 20s, and when I hit my 30s, I was like, you know what, it's time to slow down. But best of luck to you runners out there. For those of you, might be like thinking, yeah, what are they doing? What are they doing? Like, why running in the middle of this coronavirus pandemic? It's like, just like what we always say to diseases or terrorists, we're not gonna let it stop our lives. We're Americans. By continuing on to do what we do best, what we love. That's how we show them. That's how we beat them. We're not gonna let them terrorize and get them to our knees and get them to stop doing things that we love. We're gonna continue it. So F you, coronavirus. Besides, those marathoners are freaking healthy anyway. They're not gonna catch any virus, let alone coronavirus. Okay, I digress. I'm here to talk about the Walking Dead episode that's gonna air tonight. I got to watch it early. Obviously, anybody who has AMC Premiere subscriptions got to watch it early, and it's fantastic because it has freed up my Sunday night. Uh, my Sunday nights are free now because of this. I can use it for work. I can go Uber and get money instead of being at home. I figured I'll do the review right now, and just like with all my reviews of episodes that are set to air that day, that are set to premiere that day, or that have already aired, this too contains spoilers. So heads up, spoiler alert. This video review contains spoilers. So this video review is only only helpful if you have watched tonight's episode. So if you don't want spoilers, you might want to look away and then just come back again to watch this video after you've seen the episode tonight. All right. Come back to watch this video to check out my thoughts on it after you've seen tonight's episode. But if you don't mind spoilers, welcome, welcome. Um, The Walking Dead tonight's episode is season 10, episode 11, and it's titled Morning Star. Oh, I love it. Morning Star. I'm a huge fan of Lucifer series. They always go like, oh, Lucifer Morning Star. That's his last name. Um, so let's go through my bullet points here while the slideshow of images keep playing. Those are the two new images from the show, from the episode, I mean. Um, let's start with Negan and Alpha. All right. So Negan and Alpha, as you may have remembered, they had sex. Uh, so now it's the aftermath. The aftermath, right? And we saw a glimpse last week of Negan putting on the mask and doing the whisperer walk, just like the rest of them. He's becoming one of them. That's why one of these images shows him in the mask. Um, you know, the scenes that Negan and Alpha share in this episode, I gotta be honest with you, they're awkward. it, and Alpha seems more like the man in that relationship. Like he does, like she doesn't think much of it. She doesn't think it's a big deal. I mean, she's not like hating on him, but clearly Negan is still playing or trying to play an angle. Trying to play that where am I in this group? Um, Clearly, even in this episode, and so I think at one point, I don't know, this romantic stuff between them is so awkward and weird as shit. And speaking of weird, Negan's wearing that mask. Here you go, that image. Is it just me? But like I said before to you, Negan himself has always been the alpha. He's not a beta, he's not a follower. So for him to be wearing that mask, it just looks so odd, so unlike him. I can't take him seriously with that mask on. I can't take Negan seriously wearing that mask. So this whole ordeal with Negan and Alpha in this episode, uh, Negan influences Alpha in that he kind of helps Alpha to strategize. Whereas Alpha just like, you know what, we're gonna kill them all. We're gonna do a genocide on Hilltop, Alexandria. No, well, in this case, it's Hilltop. Um, and 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 Negan is more about putting the enemy into submission, putting the enemy into or turning them into people who fear you, people who worship you. That's Negan's style. Negan's like, we can't, now when he suggests that to Alpha, I'm sure a part of us kind of wonder, like, is he doing this because he has fondness for Hilltop and Alexandrians? Or is he doing this because, again, that's his style. That's Negan's style. Negan wants to have followers. So that question will linger in the back of your head. And I don't know the answer to that yet. But in this episode, it's it's clear that Negan is trying to implant that idea in Alpha's head. It's like, hey, I like genocide as much as the other guy, but how about turning these guys into like, Alpha fearing followers? Putting them, having them bend the knee. Making them do what we want them to do, just like the saviors did. So I don't know if it'll work, and I don't know if it's because Negan doesn't want Hilltop and Alexandrians to be killed off, or because Negan does want followers. We don't know. We don't know. So yeah, that whole Negan and Alpha part in this episode, so awkward. It was so weird. It's like they are like a couple that just had sex last night for the first time, without knowing each other very well. So in the morning it's like, hey, oh yeah, you're leaving already? And they're like wondering, like, who do I have to make breakfast for that guy or for her? Okay, let's go to the next bullet point here. Before we get to we're gonna save the best for last, which is the war. um Eugene, no, Eugene will be coming up next. Mary. Let's talk about Mary. Mary, played by Thora Birch. Mary, aka Gamma. She is slowly but surely becoming part of the good guys, right? And so Daryl and Aaron take Mary to the hilltop, and because Mary wants to see baby Adam. Baby Adam, if you recall, is Mary's little nephew, the one that now has been adopted by that grandpa. I forgot his name. So this a chunk of this episode is dedicated to, like, I guess you could call it the Walking Dead style custody battle, if you will. There's no custody lawyers, there's no custody court yet, but it's like a she approaches the baby, and then Callum McAuliffe's character is like, "Oh, what are you doing? You left the baby out there to die. Now it's ours. You can't just claim it as yours." So it's a little like Kramer versus Kramer situation going on here. um, and it's not really, like I said, it's a small chunk. It's not a big focus of the episode, but clearly the writers want to put that in there, to let you know that in the coming weeks or in the coming episodes, this will snowball into something. Mary's decision will be centered around that baby. You know, uh, whether or not she joins the good guys or whether she joins the good guys or she goes back to Alpha, that decision, that motivation, that decision, I can't say decision right this morning, will be around the baby. That baby will be the one to make up her mind, on one side or the other. Um, so it's interesting. It's interesting, but we'll see what it will snowball into. The next one is Eugene. Let's talk about Eugene. Eugene making a connection with Stephanie, this voice on the other end of the radio, CB radio. But Rosita ruined it at one point. Here's the thing about Eugene, man. Eugene is so obviously so lonely. Oh, that guy is a loner. I can relate. I'm a loner too. So I hear you, Eugene. Represent, represent. Um, so he gets really defensive, man, when Rosita ruined that whole arrangement that he had with Stephanie in this episode. Um, but it ends up nice. Stephanie gives Eugene another chance, and they end up having this upcoming date that they're gonna like meet each other's and stuff. Um, and I like that. I like that. It's back to showing Eugene again. The show, because he is one of my favorite characters. I don't know if you noticed. Well, yeah, I'm sure you did. Eugene likes to Eugene likes to use phrases and idioms, right? Idioms like um, phrases like fish out of water, or at one point in this episode, he said Waterloo. um, the way he talks, the way he speaks, he would throw in these idioms and phrases in between or in the middle of the sentences. And he just like, I don't know, it sounds cool hearing him speak, like he has this vocabulary bank in the back of his brain, and that thing just like synapses or just like firing. The synapses are just firing in the brain and just like flowing through, and then he'll just like accessing that vocabulary and spitting it out. It's so cool. It's so cool. And one thing I noticed is that Eugene and Stephanie, they got to sing Iron Maiden's song "When the Wild Wind Blows." Now, I am not a fan of Iron Maiden. I don't mind some heavy metal from time to time, but I don't buy Iron Maiden's albums. Uh, but this song is one of their famous ones. So Eugene and Stephanie, Eugene and Stephanie in this episode, they have their Stranger Things moment. Stranger Things season 3, when they sang what's it, Dusty, right? Dusty and his girlfriend, when they sang that never ending song, "Turn around and look at what you see." Never ending story. Well, Eugene and Stephanie have that moment here, but their song is Iron Maiden's "When the Wild Wind Blows." so so cheesy, I know, but at the same time, it's I would take that. I would take Eugene and Stephanie's cheesiness any day over Negan and Alpha's awkwardness. All right. Let's see what's the next on my bullet point. Okay, Ezekiel and Carol. There's a lot of things going on in this episode. There, and I like it that way, right? I like it that way as opposed to episodes that are fillers. And The Walking Dead has filler episodes where they only dedicate one episode entirely to just one character. Um, and I'm sure we're gonna get that soon enough. Um, but I like this one, a mix up of every situation, all the characters coming in. Right now, the focus of this episode, place wise, is Hilltop. So it's not Alexandria. Okay, so the next bullet point is Ezekiel, because Ezekiel lives in Hilltop. So Carol, Daryl, and everybody come back to Hilltop. Ezekiel mourning with Carol over Henry. They're still grieving over their son. As you know, Henry got murdered by Alpha and the Whisperers, and his head got left on the spike. So gruesome. And they're grieving to the point where it got so stereotypical in this episode. By that I mean, excuse me, my nose is runny, and it's not coronavirus. Don't worry. That they have sex. It's so stereotypical because that's Hollywood style, like, oh no, let's be sad together, let's cry together, let's put your head on my shoulder, and then oh, the kissing starts to happen. It's so Hollywood style, man. Hollywood, Hollywood style of grieving. Um, but there's a moment that Carol shares with Lydia that I think is very profound, maybe even prophetic. No, Carol says to Lydia, of course, as you know, is Alpha's daughter who has become good instead of continuing on to join this Whisper. Uh, Carol says to Lydia, "Do you hate me? Well, you should hate me. You're gonna hate me. You will hate me." And then Carol says like, "Because I'm going after your mom. I'm gonna kill your mom." And then Carol says like, "After I kill your mom, are you gonna go after me?" I'm paraphrasing, of course. So I say that profound. I say that is profound because it's it's an endless it's an endless cycle of revenge. It goes to show you that maybe there is something to what what's his name, Rick's son. I forgot his name. The one that died. He got bit. He said to Rick, his dad, like, "Hey, don't kill Negan. Build a better future." Because I think if Rick had killed Negan, then one of the saviors would try to kill would try to kill Rick. One of the saviors would rise up and become. So it's that endless cycle of revenge, even though Lydia has turned into the good side now, Alpha is still her mom. You know what I'm saying? Um, so who's to say that Lydia will not be angry if Carol actually ends up killing her mother? Despite what Lydia may have felt about Alpha, or like despite Lydia pissed off about Alpha, Alpha is still her mom. So this conversation is like, wow, I can't believe they actually have this talk. But it's profound in a way that makes you think like, yeah, this these characters, they understand the ramifications of, if I kill, you know, Alpha's mom, then Lydia might go after me. And then if I die, then Ezekiel might go after Lydia or whoever. So it's like they understand the ramifications of killing based on vengeance. Not killing based on survival, killing based on So they understand that. I think they've gone through this zombie apocalypse long enough to really, like, oh yeah, I know this is what will happen. Uh, so I thought that was profound. I like it very much. That moment that Carol had with Lydia. Um, Side note, Judith, the ass kicker, Judith, she made a really nice, I guess, what do you call it? I think a leather vest jacket, a new one, a brand new one to Daryl in this episode. I was like, that is so awesome. That is so cool. Daryl's got a new thing and it's made by Judith, but then you wonder, like, how did Judith make that? I mean, does Judith know, does Judith have a sewing machine? Like, what skills does Judith have to make such a thing? I'm sure Judith got a little help from other people, but it was a sweet moment. Um, and another sweet moment is that Daryl says to Carol, I'm not gonna hate you," um, because that feeling apparently has been eating up inside Carol. You know, last week or 2 weeks ago, 2 episodes ago, when the rubbles fall in and supposedly trap or maybe even kill the people that Daryl actually liked. Um, that was like you saw Daryl being very angry at Carol, right? Because Carol's action chasing after Alpha was the one that started it all. And so Carol's been like really like in agony, like, oh my God, I lost my best friend and my best friend hates me. My best friend is angry at me. But Daryl, after throughout this episode, uh he comes to the conclusion like, you know what, I may be angry at you for the moment, like I may be like really pissed off at your judgment making, but I'm not gonna hate you. We've come along too far together. I can't even get myself to crossing that line and hating you. And that's nice, and it's a baby step, um, but a baby step that is really needed to give Carol her peace of mind, because you could tell it's been bugging her, man, been bugging her. He's like in agony. I think that's why he kind of, or she finds solace in Ezekiel in this episode, because she's like, oh, I can't find solace in my best friend. Um, so, which leads us to my last point. This episode, this entire episode, Morningstar, weirdly titled, I should say. This episode is basically a preparation for war episode. A preparation for war episode. It's kind of like Game of Thrones season 8 episode 2, I believe. Do you remember? Game of Thrones final episode, where they had the entire episode solely just for preparation before the White Walkers storm into the Winterfell. Remember that? So that's the episode. I think in that episode, Jamie also had sex with Brienne of Tarth. It's so funny. Um, so that's basically what this episode is. But the difference is, between this and Game of Thrones season 8 episode 2 is that the Morningstar episode, the Walking Dead Morningstar episode, um, it's not. It doesn't just tease you with preparation, and then like, oh yeah, the war will be next week. No, no, no. Actually, they actually have the war happening about a third through the end of this episode. So you get to see the war actually, starting and escalating. So that's the good thing, that we don't have to wait till next week to actually see the war. Um, the grandpa who now has custody of baby Adam, he is so fired up in this episode, man. He's like, yeah. He's all like Braveheart and shit. It's like, yeah, this is the fight of our life. Because the thing is, Hilltop, Alpha and the Whispers, they're attacking Hilltop, and Hilltop has no way of getting Alexandrians and Oceanside to help them in time. Alexandrians and Oceanside. It's not like there's an open highway or a helicopter for them to come to Hilltop in a matter of seconds. No. So Hilltop is left on their own to defend themselves, to fend for themselves. So the grandpa's like, yo, this is the fight of our lives, freedom. I am the Mel Gibson of this story. um, and the all-out war happens. Like I said, a third through the end of this episode. At one point, it seems that the Hilltop strategy seems to work. You know, um, but then all of a sudden the tide changes, and the Whispers get the upper hand. It's so. I thought when I was watching it, I thought it was like, man, that was clever. That was very clever. And here's the deal. Here's the deal with fighting the Whisperers that is significantly different from fighting the Saviors and fighting the governor. Remember the governor? I forgot his name, the actor's name, but the governor attacking the prison that Rick Grimes was settled in. So the difference is that the Whispers, they know how to shepherd the walkers. They know how to use the walkers to their advantage. They're like, so instead of sacrificing their own people, um, they let the walkers be like the first line of attack, if you will. So that's what the Saviors and the Governor's people did not have. So when it's the Saviors versus Alexandrians, or the Governor versus Alexandrians, uh, well, they were not called Alexanders at the time. When those things happen, or when those wars happen, it was between human and humans. Humans versus humans. What complicates this war is that, again, the Whisperers Alpha, they know how to direct the walkers and give Hilltop, in this case, a hard time. So it's like to wear them out a little bit, to exhaust them, and then you hit them with a surprise weapon. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. That's why it's a lot more difficult, a lot more challenging to actually defeat the Whisperers, because they have the walkers on their side. It's like you're outnumbered, man. It's like 2 to 1, Whisperers and the walkers versus the Hilltop. Um, Very, very unbalanced war. So, but it was epic. It was really cool. And the episode ends with, which I love. The episode ends with a situation in which you wonder, like, oh my God, how on earth are the Hilltops going to get themselves out of this? I love those cliffhangers, those type of cliffhangers, because you'll have to wait for the solution next week. Overall, I thought it was a great episode. Fantastic. Again, it's a preparation for war. Really feel for my guy, Eugene. All right. I think it's so cool that Eugene has this upcoming date with Stephanie. So that upcoming date, that promise to meet, becomes his motivation. It becomes the fuel that drives him to go into war. It's like, I want to meet Stephanie. I want to get over this. I want to defeat the Whisperer so I can meet Stephanie. I was like, So good on my man Eugene, man. Good on my man Eugene. So we'll see. I'm guessing next week the solution to Hilltop's life-threatening problem. I think Oceanside and Alexandrians will show up like at the last minute, like freaking, like the big eagles that swoop in to to rescue the hobbits at the end of the Hobbit movie. Do you remember that? I think that's what's going to happen. I think when they least expect it, Oceanside and Alexandrians show up, and that kind of forces Alpha and the Whispers to retreat. So that's my guess. I don't know if that's what's going to happen. But right now Daryl gets cornered, Daryl and the guys, and it's interesting to see how that plays out. That's it. Those are my thoughts. I gotta take my car to the tune-up now for oil change, tire rotation, and I think battery check. So it's gonna take me a whole day at the car shop. So wish me well on that. Enjoy your Sunday, everyone. Again, this episode that I just reviewed will air tonight at 9 p.m. on AMC. So if you uh, go to watch the episode tonight, come back to watch this video and check whether or not you agree or disagree with my assessment of this episode. Okay? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel, press that like button, ring that bell, and if you can help support me, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. Let's rock this.